Hi everyone, I'm Ming. I'm back with the SHG 700 spectral heliograph, and I'm going to give you a quick start of the SHG 700. This is the commercial version, and it had some modification over the last video. So I'll give you a tour through this. This is how you will get your SHG 700 out of the box. You will have the collimator and the camera lens already pre-calibrated, pre-focused, and you will have the first thing that you have to take note when you open the box is do not touch either of those micrometer. These are the micrometer and they are pre-focuses. So do not touch either of those before you put a camera on. You might throw your unit out of collimation if you do touch either of those before you put a camera on it. The first thing I'll do is to remove the dust cap. There are two M42 dust caps on this unit. The first one is here. The second one is on the camera side here. Okay, so now the first thing you want to do is you want to put your camera onto your SHG and then get a rough focus before putting everything onto your telescope. There's a very good chance that you won't use either of those camera type for your SHG. This one is the eyepiece camera type, and I personally recommend this one because it has a more flexible back focus. You can easier reach the focus with this camera type, and you can use this classic body camera type like this one from ZWO ASI or Player One have this camera body type also, and you can use this one just fine, or this one. I will go through the setup of this body camera type first. Since these two have different back focus requirement, so you will have to have different attachment techniques. So for this camera type, the first thing that you want to do is you get a 1.5 millimeter Allen key. You put it into the hole here on the camera port, and you unscrew this camera adapter here. You got this camera adapter here. One important note is this SSG is a strictly imaging device. You can only use a camera here. Do not put your eyes and the eyepiece in here. You might severely damage your vision if you put your eye in this camera output port. So do not do that. So you have the camera adapter here like this, and you can screw the camera adapter on like this, and you put it into the camera port like this, and then tighten the rub screw like this, and you are done with the camera attachment. Now you will do the camera focus. Okay, so you have your camera installed here, and you have it connected to your PC here, and you have to point your SHG to the nice to the day sky. You need daylight for this. It doesn't matter if it's rainy or cloudy or sunny. You just need daylight for this. You cannot do this on a night sky. So make sure you have removed the dust cap here and have the slit exposed to the daylight sky. Um, the first thing you might want to do if you see the image is very dark like this, you can increase the exposure time and maybe your gain, so you can have a rough image of the of the spectral spread here. So you can see the micrometer reading here. If the micrometer reading should be at about 10 millimeter, you'll have the rough focus with this camera type. So I will turn the micrometer so it will reach about 10 or 10.5 millimeter. Yes, I think we have the rough focus here. As you can see, the absorption line is very sharp, and the SHG 700 have the 8 alpha line. You can see it here as the big dark line here, centered. I'm using a color camera for this demonstration because is the only camera I got of this body type. But you'll need a mono camera for capture. Okay. So the next thing you would want to do is you have to straighten out the spectral spread. You do that by loosening this rub screw here, and you turn the camera so that the 8 alpha line here is horizontal. Since this slide is curved, you will need to use the reticle, the horizontal reticle here, to straighten the two ends of the line so that they stay on a horizontal line. And then you tighten this rope screw after you're done. Okay, so that is you're done. And you will do this focus later on the scope, so you only need a rough focus at this point. That is for the classic body camera type. The Player One or the ZWO all use this camera type, and they are very common in planetary camera. If you want to use this eyepiece style body camera, you'll need a M42 to 1.25 inch adapter. This is a very common accessory. You screw the adapter in to the T2 thread like this. And then you tighten down the adapter like this. You plug in your camera onto your computer and then put it into the camera and the 1.25 adapter like this. Okay, so you have your camera installed and you plug it into your computer, open it in the shortcut, and there's a very good chance that you will see the image very dark. Now you have to increase the exposure until you can see the spectral spread. I can do an auto stretch here so we can see a rough image of the spectral spread. As you can see, the spectral spread is horribly out of focus. So we will have to slide the camera in and out like this and get a rough focus of the spectral spread. As you can see, the H alpha line is now roughly in focus. I will try to straighten out the edge of the spectral spread here. Okay, I think that is good. Okay. Now I can do fine adjustment of the focus with the camera micrometer here. Yes, I think I have the camera focuser is roughly focused here. You can zoom in to check. I think we got it good here. We will do this focus again on the telescope, so we only need rough focus here. Okay, so you might have the problem that the spectral spread is not centered inside of the camera FOV like this, and this is due to the variation of camera. There are some units have their sensor decentered, and you have to compensate for that decentering by doing this. First, you will need to remove the 4 screw holding the M42 adapter like this and expose the 2 screw holding the uh, slit assembly like this. Secondly, you'll have to loosen these two M3 screw and then move the camera, move the slit assembly side to side. You can see I'm making this adjustment side to side until the slit is centered on the camera sensor. Okay, we have the rough alignment here, and then I can tighten this screw down. Okay, it is better centered, and make sure that you have the spectral spread level like this. The two ends of this spectral spread should be on a horizontal line like this. After you have your SHG calibrated and crop focused correctly, now we will proceed to install the SHG onto the telescope and start imaging. The first thing you have to take note that the SHG works best with EQ mount, equatorial mounts. Although you can mount your SHG onto a tripod and keep it stationary and point it at the sun with the telescope and let the sun drip across the slit to create an image. But that way the image will the reconstruction software has to do some interpolation to correct for the field rotation. And the way the image from the SHG is reconstructed required that the sun image to move perpendicular to the slit. So that way you need an equatorial mount to ensure the perpendicularity of the slit and the path that the sun move when you slew the mount. Now you have an equatorial mount, you have polar align it correctly, and the first thing that you would want to do is to have a scope attached. As you can see here, I'm gonna use my SHG with this scope right here. It is a 600 millimeter doublets. I'll leave a link to the scope guide, how you choose a scope that works best with your SHG down in the description. You mount your telescope onto your already polar aligned equatorial mounts, and please take note that you should mount your scope as close to the center of rotation as possible, because if the scope mounts far away from the center of rotation, like this one, this is mounted pretty far from the center of rotation. Because I do not have a suitable place to mount my scope lower. But if you can have an option to mount your scope lower to the center of rotation, you should do that, because the closer your scope is to the center of rotation, the less mechanical vibration will affect your scan, and you will have higher image quality with less mosaic artifacts. So now you have your scope installed onto your equatorial mounts, and now you will proceed to install the SHE onto the telescope. Please take note that you will have to have the um, sun image focus onto the surface of the slit here, so the slit will sit at the focal plane of the telescope. So the first thing you want to do uh, is to roughly estimate the focus of the focal plane of your telescope. You do that by pointing your telescope at the sun, and then use your hands going in and out like this, and see the focus sun image. Where this focus sun image, I think we have the focus roughly here, so I will turn the focuser so that it roughly reaches the sun image, and I will leave about 1 centimeter of um, back focus from the back flange of the focuser here to the focal plane. So we will have that space to compensate for the distance from this flange here to the slit here. So after you have your telescope roughly focused at the sun, and you roughly have the focal plane about 1 centimeter from the back flange of the focuser here, you can put your SHE onto the telescope. And please take note that the orientation of the SHE is very important. Now the SHE should be installed so that on the side here is parallel to the declination, or shortly it should be parallel to the dovetail here. This is very important. This will ensure that when you slew the mounts in RA, sun image will be moving perpendicular to the slit. This is very important to ensure you perform a good scan. Now you insert your SHE in all the way and tighten the grub screw that holds your SHE onto the focuser like this, and make sure this underside here is parallel to the dovetail here. Don't worry about this orientation. You can have a rough orientation and make adjustment later when you do the scan, and you will have a reference tilt angle to make this adjustment. Okay, so this is how the SHE will be installed onto the telescope. And once again, please take note that the orientation of this SHE is very important. You have to install it in the correct orientation, otherwise the device won't be able to perform scans. Okay, so now we have the SHE installed onto the telescope, roughly aligned so that this plane here is parallel to the dovetail, and we have the focus of the telescope roughly dialed in. Now we will try to put the sun image onto the slit, and we do that by increasing the exposure of our camera so we can see until we can see the sky background. As you can see the spectrum of the sky background here. Then I will increase the slew speed for easier navigation. I have the mount control here. Now I will try to slew and find the change in brightness. The closer you are to the sun image, the background of the sky will be brighter. As you can see, it is very bright now. I will reduce the brightness a little bit and slew and look for the change in brightness again. Now it's overexposed. I will reduce the exposure again, reduce again. And here we have the sun image on the sleeve. So now we have the sun image position onto the sleeve, but as you can see, the two edges of the sun image here is very blurred. This is due to the sun image is not focused correctly onto the slit. Now we will do that by turning the focuser knob on the telescope. Here you can see we will try to find the sharpest edge possible. Yeah, I think we are good here. Now it is very hard to judge the focus correctly, and I have a trick. You can first by zooming in to the spectral spread, and then you can uh, change the histogram, turn the contrast, add a little bit more contrast to the histogram. You can see those vertical line now up here, a lot of contrast. Those are the granule cell in the photosphere showing on the spectral line, and those those vertical line will come in and out with the focus. If you are focused, those vertical line will show. If you are off focus, the vertical line won't show. And we can use the appearance of the vertical line to adjust the absolute focus. If you are in focus, the vertical line will be very sharp and high contrast. Okay, so I think we have the focus correctly here. One more thing to check is the charge volume, though the dust on the slit and the sharpness of the spectra. You can use the camera collimator, camera micrometer and the collimator micrometer to fine tune the sharpness of the of the uh, of the spectral spread. Now, to increase the frame rate, you can use the ROI, the region of interest, to crop the sensor. I'm using a 160 high region of interest, so I can have a higher frame rate. Now I will adjust the exposure to ensure that I'm not overexposing anything, and I slew out to the other side of the sun and going to start a scan. Now I'm going to calculate the optimal exposure speed and the frame rate to go with the scan speed. I enter the pixel size of the camera, the focal length of my telescope, which is 900, and I can use this enter the scan speed, which is 8 times serial. The pixel size is 2.0 micron, which is the pixel size of my 678. The focal length is 600 on my doublet, and I will use 4 times serial. As you can see, it's showing the FPS of required FPS of about 85. There are a few ways that you can reach the required FPS. You can either increase or decrease the exposure time, but that will only get you so far. You might overexpose your image before you reach the required FPS. SharpCap has a feature that allows you to limit the frame rate. It will discard the excess frame and just keep the accepted frame, so the frame rate stay at the frame rate that you want. We can limit it at 120 FPS or 60 FPS. It is very convenient and help to keep the file size manageable. Okay, so I will limit the FPS at 120 and it will put my FPS at about 80 FPS, and I think that is good enough. Now I will try to center. I will try to adjust the exposure so nothing will overexpose. Look at the histogram to make a better judgment over the exposure, and I will change the slew speed to 16 times serial and then start a recording. Then I change back the scan speed to 4 times serial and then press and hold the arrow button and start a scan. So this is the first scan, and I will keep pressing the arrow until the scan complete. As you can see, the sun is going through the slit and it getting bigger to the side and then going up to the limb and getting smaller again and getting up the slit here. Okay, so now we will stop the scan, stop the recording, and put the video that we just recorded into the processing software. I am recommending the JSOLEX. It is a very good software with easy to use user experience, and it's got very nice GUI and a lot of nice feature. As you can see, it is moisturizing the image from the scanning video into an image. The JSOLEX work on both Windows, Mac OS, and even Linux, so you have cross-platform performance. As you can see, the first thing that we have to care about here is this tilt angle. The tilt angle here is about over 5 degrees, and that is too much. We need the tilt angle about just under 1 degree or so. So we fix that by rotating the SHG inside the 1.25 inch adapter. If the tilt angle is positive, we have to rotate it counterclockwise about 5 degrees until, and then do a scan again, and then check with the JSOLEX. If you have the tilt angle under 1 degree, then you're good.